Brazil is seeing an increase in COVID-19 cases. Meanwhile, the President, Jair Bolsonaro, has continued to make statements trivializing the risk or dismissing the fact that lives are at stake. So far, Brazil has a death toll of just over 8,000. But places such as the Amazon region are seeing a sharp increase in cases. Let's bring in Ilona Jabo, who is Executive Director of the Igarape Institute. Ilona, thank you very much for joining us here on France 24. I'm wondering if this is all having an impact on the popularity of the President.
Well, for the first time, first of all, I think Brazil is facing multiple crises. COVID is just one, which is the health and economic crisis in an economy that was already suffering. But we're also facing a major political and also environmental crisis. So the situation in Brazil, and I think also to evaluate the president's popularity, is not only due to COVID, what's going on. It's just this multiple crisis. So yes, for the first time since I think he took office, we can say that his popularity and his support for the government decreased to under 30%. So it's said to be around 27% now. And people that see his government negatively also has increased considerably last week to 49%. So it is hitting him. But the biggest hit at the moment was the dismissal of the Justice Minister, Sergio Moro, and not really the way he's dealing with the COVID crisis yet.
In terms of what Bolsonaro says, though, Ilona, I mean, when you read that the president of the country says, so what, when asked by journalists about the rising death toll, I mean, clearly it says something that people wouldn't really expect a president to say.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's very hard even to comment on some things, an absurd like that. So the president himself is one of the last leaders that are denying the pandemics worldwide. A country of over 200 million people that are suffering. So Brazil is the new epicenter for the pandemics. The capitals, the major cities capitals, Rio and São Paulo, are facing the biggest death tolls. But as you said in the beginning of this newscast, the Amazon region, which is the northern region of the country, is having a severe problem, and also due to the lack of preparedness of the health sector, but also to the immense vulnerability and the further regions where actually there's no assistance to people that are in need. So I believe the country will face waves of problems because of this poor leadership. So at the moment, governors and mayors are really struggling to put the health measures into place, while the president has been agitating his very loyal base, the more radicalized base, who actually are the only people that he governs to since he took office, which is around 30% now, a little less. So he's been really also stimulating that these people don't stick to the rules, don't stick to the isolations or lockdowns, that denial of the COVID is generalized among his followers. So it's been a real challenge for the population and for the other leaders from the subnational level to be able to safeguard the lives of the population. So it's totally unacceptable. And we have to apologize, because the country will also, this mismanagement of the crisis put also other countries and other peoples at risk. So we see this as a great absurd.
One health minister dismissed in April, the new health minister just now, Nelson Tish, excuse me if I got that incorrect in terms of pronunciation, saying there are places where they will recommend a lockdown and places where they'll recommend that restrictions are relaxed. Is that a problem, do you think, this kind of duality or individualization of approach?
Well, Brazil is huge, so this is not I think having different stages of measures for different places is not necessarily the problem. The problem is that, as you said, this is a new minister. The former minister that had a better handle of the crisis was dismissed because he was actually countering the president's, I would say, non-measures to deal with the crisis. So there was a political issue among them. So he dismissed the health minister in the midst of the crisis. So the new one is having, I would say, a harder time to put any coherent policy in place. So the federal government is supposed also to send to states equipment, respirators, like tests, but it's very, very, behind in terms of numbers and in terms of responses. We've been talking to several states in Brazil, and we see, the needs are actually, there are coalitions of civil society that are trying to organize big donations for, hospitals, for equipment, for protection for all frontliners. So it's been, I would say, a social mobilization together with governors and mayors that are doing the least we can. But I mean, without the federal coherence in this, I believe that we will suffer much more. The country will take a longer time to be able to actually go back to the new normal, there to say. So I can't say that the problem is the difference in measures. The problem is that there's no coordination. So the federal government has not been a partner of the subnational governments. And this is the worst that could happen in the midst of the biggest crisis of our generation.
Leona Szabo of the Igarapi Institute, thank you very much indeed for your analysis. Thank you for joining us here on France 24.
Thank you.